Call me a saddo, say I've got no life, but yes, earlier today I was back on Doctor Who Reddit, having a little browse, looking around with my eyes and thinking, what can I make a video about today? And I saw this post from the wonderful General Meal, which says, when you realise that the last time the BBC independently financed a full series of Doctor Who was 5 years ago, and since then they've undergone even more budget cuts and are only really able to now produce small budget dramas. Look, it's fine. Relax, chill out, calm down watching this video, chill, calm, flip it out. You're getting so irate, what are you doing that for? This is true. The BBC is still pumping out shows, in fact I watch majority of them. If you haven't seen Babies on BBC iPlayer, please go and watch Babies. It is the most heartbreaking show, but it is so good and such an essential watch. They push out sitcoms all the time, their 6-episode, half-hour sitcoms that they do. They get made quite often. There are dramas that come out, and there are some really good-looking dramas. There was one called Linley, which came out earlier this year, even though I thought the writing was crap and I wasn't sold on the performances, and I actually thought the show was a bit bad. The show looked good, and I don't think it was low budget, and if it was, it didn't strike me as being low budget. So the BBC has lost a lot of money. It's not as popular as it once was, and it isn't as rich as it once was, which is why I think they're doing streaming partners, right? I'm assuming that's why we've not had any news about Doctor Who's future. Because if you look in the early 2010s, every single year there was like teasers of what was to come next year for Doctor Who as well. We'd always get these things, and we got it in the Disney era as well because they were so far ahead. But obviously, as of right now, we've not got anything. And I think if the BBC were independently funding the next series or specials or whatever it is we're getting of Doctor Who, we would have some sort of information by now on how many episodes it's going to be, what's going on, or maybe even like a teaser, like literally just like a, for the 60th, there was those like weird, like, what they call like static things that would pop up during like ad breaks on TV and stuff. Something like that I think would be coming our way. Whether that be on social media, but then maybe they'd be talking about the special. I don't know. I just feel like we'd have had news by now, or some sort of tease from the BBC if they were independently funding this special. I don't think they are. I think the likelihood is they're going to be teaming up with AMC. Is it AMC Plus over in America? They've just teamed up with them to put the old stuff on there. So all the old BBC, all the old Doctor Who episodes from 2005 to 2022 are going to be on AMC Plus on June the 11th, I believe, so not long to go to that if you're watching in America. And I think it's very likely that they will partner with them. It probably won't give them much money, but it will give them more than they would have if they were funding it on their own. And it also means that people outside of the UK, or is it in just America, that streaming site, it might just be, or maybe in some other major places, I'm not too sure. But it means people outside of the UK in countries where AMC Plus is available, they will be able to watch the show as well, and the BBC won't have to independently fund it themselves. So I think it's more likely that they are going to team up with another production company. We were speculating for ages last summer, will it be HBO Max, will it be Amazon Prime, will it be any of the other ones, Paramount Plus, Apple TV, any of them, who will it be? And it's looking like it's going to be AMC Plus, which is not one that anyone really put forward last year, not to my knowledge anyway. So we'll have to just keep our eyes peeled for that, because I'm up for that. Like, it doesn't make a difference to me anyway. I can still watch it on BBC iPlayer, but I think they should have some form of external money being sent to them to help fund the show. I don't think it will just be a distribution thing. Even though they do need that, they do need to distribute the show to places outside of the UK. I think they do need to get funding for it as well. And they might come up with some mental way of doing that, like a crowd fundraiser or something. I mean, I don't think they'll do that, but like, if they're stooping that low and it's that bad, I'm sure a lot of Doctor Who fans would be willing to put some form of contribution through. Maybe not, actually. I've been on Twitter recently, everyone's not too happy, so maybe not. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't want to, but yeah, I don't know, tricky. Night Owl actually raises a fair point here and says Series 10 was the last independently run series. It was BBC Studios for Jodie's era, private company, but not the BBC itself. This is true. They caused a lot of issues. Did they? Someone underneath starts talking about how apparently BBC Studios didn't want to foot the bill for the writer's room that Chris Chibnall wanted. If you remember in the whole Jodie Whittaker era, especially in Series 11, Chris Chibnall was trying to do more of a writer's room. So instead of here's the premise for this episode, you go off to your bedroom and go and write this, and I'll stay in my office and write this. He was going to do like a big community writing room like they have on big American sitcoms like Friends and The Big Bang Theory and stuff like that, which I think could work for Doctor Who. And actually, if they're going to do something more serialised, which I think they probably will do, which I'm not a fan of, but if they need to do it, they have to do it. If they're going to do something more serialised, I think it is important to have a writer's room, especially if there are various different writers. It's important. Well, that'd be the only reason you have a writer's room. You wouldn't have a writer's room just for yourself, would you? But yeah, no. So basically, what Night Owl was saying here is Series 10 was funded solely by the BBC, and the Jodie Whittaker eras from 2018 to 2022 were funded by BBC Studios, which is external to the BBC. It's not the same thing. BBC Studios is a company that runs a lot of BBC dramas, and they do help fund things, and they did help fund Doctor Who. And give it more money than it would have had in those years. So maybe it could go back to BBC Studios. We did discuss this last year on this channel, and loads of other YouTubers, Confused Adipose Theories, they touched on it as well. And would it be a good idea to have something like this where it goes back to BBC Studios? I can't really remember what we were saying. I think it would be better to have a global distribution service fund them, well, help fund them, rather than BBC Studios. If they get both, that'd be good. Who knows? You don't have to have just one sole partner. You could have multiple. There'd be a lot of paperwork, so I feel bad for whoever has to go through that. But apart from that, you know, I think it's a good idea. The more money that comes in, the better. But you've got to make sure the show is good and well written. I actually don't think the Disney era is as badly written as a lot say it is. I do think starting with Space Babies was a bad idea. I understand that Space Babies wasn't meant to be the opener. It was meant to be the Church on Ruby Road, and Space Babies was meant to follow after that, which would have worked better, but the plan fell through, and so that's no one's fault, really. But we need to make sure we have a really solid opener that is a fresh introduction to this show and just sets up the fundamentals. We don't need, I'm the Doctor, I'm from Gallifrey, and I'm a Time Lord, and we also know they also call people the Bishop and the Rani and blah blah blah, but I'm the Doctor. We don't need that. We just need man travels in box and helps people and is a nice guy. Or woman, it could be a girl, who knows. Maybe we'll have another woman Doctor. Maybe Billie Piper's going to stick around. Who bloody knows. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that they're going to get funding from other places? Do you think they're going to fund it themselves? Let me know your theories in the comments. Whilst you're down in the comments, if you hit the hype button, it'd mean the absolute world. Thank you very, very much. It pushes my video out to more people. I get really famous. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you didn't, drop a dislike. It's absolutely fine. Subscribe with a notification bell on when you get notified every single time I post, if you push that button. I post every day, so, you know, see you there. I've got an announcement coming on Sunday about a little schedule change that's happening next week. Don't worry, it's nothing major. It's actually really not that big of a deal at all, but it's just something to look out for. And yeah, if you want to become a channel member, you do get early access to review videos. Keep that in mind. You can leave a super thanks in the comments. You get a shout out at the end of the next video. Channel members get a shout out at the end of every video, and you get loads of other bonus stuff along the way. Mainly it just helps me out though, so if you do want to do that, thank you very much. Otherwise, don't bother. Stick around if you want. I'd love to have you here, but if you don't want to stick around, that's fine. You can go away. As Tracy Beaker would say, bog off. Thank you for watching. I've been Sam. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later, and ta-ra.